our last video, this is not working. Our last video will be on the Supreme Court. That's where we left off the other day, so that's the theme of our video. So here's the video theme: Supreme Court. First thing, what court case established the principle of judicial review, thus giving the Supreme Court all the power? When does the Supreme Court have original and appellate jurisdiction? Which one of these two types of jurisdiction is more numerous, which means happens more? What is meant by the rule of four, or by a rule of four? What are the four types of decisions handed down by the Supreme Court? List the Supreme Court justices. And what is judicial view, judicial activism? And I'm going to put here liberal/conservative. Tell me, are they liberal or conservative? And I'll give you that list. Okay? Alrighty, here we go. So, background on the court mentioned in the Constitution, Article 3. And so it consists of 8 associate justices and 1 chief justice. I'll tell you that chief justice is in a little bit. Highest court in the land. Key powers. Number 1 is power judicial review. What case established that? Marbury versus Madison. Marbury versus Madison has established that. That was from way back in the beginning. And so these are just some facts about over the years what has happened. What powers do they have? 1, power judicial review, very important. 2, power to interpret broadly worded laws of Congress and the Constitution. And then 3, power to overrule earlier Supreme Court decisions like Brown versus Board of Education and overruling Plessy versus Ferguson. Brown called separate but equal unconstitutional. As to the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, they have original, which means they are the first court in issues involving states and ambassadors. And they also have jurisdiction in appellate courts in cases involving courts of appeals. We talked about that yesterday. And then state Supreme Courts. Right here it says cases from appellate jurisdiction are far more numerous than from original jurisdiction, which means cases from right here happen more than cases from here. So we've talked about the power, jurisdiction, which means when the Supreme Court can act. How do cases reach the Supreme Court? The nice thing about the Supreme Court is it controls its own docket, which means it controls what cases are going to they're going to listen to. There's not that many cases that make it, and I'm just going to focus on right here. The rule of 4. That means that in order for a court case, for the court to decide a case, 4 justices mean 4 out of the 9 must agree to do so. So if none of them have the rule of 4, if only 3 want to see it, then these are the reasons why. So if they don't get a rule of 4, these are the reasons why. Case lacks substantial federal issue, party lacks standing, court agrees with lower court, case is a political hot potato and the court does not want to touch it. But if it has the rule of 4, then the Supreme Court will look at it. And then we're not going to worry about that. The Supreme Court at work, let's just kind of skip through this. Let's talk about when they hand down a decision. So the Supreme Court at work, when they hand down a decision, there's 4 different types of decisions. You have a unanimous decision, expresses opinion of all 9 justices. A third of the cases are decided by 9-0 votes. You have a majority, expresses opinion of majority. This means it could be 5-4, 6-3. Dissenting expresses opinion of minority. If the court later overturns itself, it may draw upon a minority opinion for its reasoning. And then concurring, written by a justice who agrees with majority conclusions, but for different reasons, other than the ones that were stated by the person who assigns opinions. Let's go down here even further. This is just, we're skipping ahead. I don't ask you these questions, but it says here possibility of evading, which means the Supreme Court gives you a decision, you decide you're not going to listen to it. So the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, but it is possible to evade, which means to ignore their decision. How do you do it? Amend the Constitution. The court cannot strike down something as unconstitutional if it's in the Constitution. And then the one I want to focus on is C. The executive branch may simply not carry out a decision. Jackson's famous case to John Marshall, he was a Supreme Court justice way back when, has made a decision. Now let him enforce it. That's what he said. So let him enforce it, referring to John Marshall. Think about also desegregation in school prayer. The Supreme Court justices tell everybody, you enforce it. Let the states do it. That's what happened. So that's how you evade. It means that they make a decision, president, other people say, you enforce the Supreme Court. Here is the people in the Supreme Court, the voting blocks of the current Supreme Court. These are the 9 justices. The Chief Justice, you ready? Could be an extra credit question tomorrow. John Roberts is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. There's the justices. Now, I'm going to go to this last little question here. So we've gone through these first 2, this 3. We've gone through this one. We just did that one. Now let's take a look at judicial activism and review. I'm going to write down 7. Who is the CJ of the Supreme Court of the United States, of the SCOTUS? Who is that? We just talked about it. Judicial activism versus judicial restraint. These are examples. I'm going to give you, here's a definition. Philosophy that courts should take an active role in solving society's problems. So that's judicial activism. Just the court's active. Here's examples of the court being active. Judicial restraint. Philosophy that the court should allow the states and other 2 branches of the federal government to solve social and economic political problems. Federal court should act only in those situations where there are clear constitutional questions. Court should merely interpret the law rather than make the law. So those are 2 kind of differences. So judicial activism, restraint. If you have any questions, write them down. We'll discuss them in class tomorrow. Have a great day. Don't forget about Tuesday. We have after school study session. You also have the quiz on this video and a quiz for second period. You have a quiz. Okay, here you go.